Hey y'all, today I'm going to show you exactly how to use my new soap and cosmetics pricing calculator so that you can figure out your cost of goods so that you can finally price your product for profit. Price your product. I killed that. It was a lot of P's. It's been a struggle. But anyway, if you're new here, my name is Sharmise Idris, and over here on my channel, I talk about all things bath and body business. And I also have my own business, Charmed Handmade, where I sell wholesale bath and body products to other small businesses and entrepreneurs. But today, the calculator that I'll be talking about is the actual calculator that I use in my business, wholesale, and then when I was also selling retail, I just made it look a little better for you guys. So if you don't have access to this calculator yet, I'll put the link in the description so that you can download and purchase it there. But let's go ahead and dive into this calculator. All right, so the first page you'll see is actually the instructions, and then you'll end up seeing my face here soon. And down here you can find common mistakes to avoid and some frequently asked questions. So check that out, but we're gonna actually talk about the instructions now, of course. So the first thing I do wanna show you is the blank sheet. So here is the blank soap and cosmetics pricing calculator. This is what it looks like before you fill anything out. And then I also put an example recipe on here for you guys so that you can see a completed one. I'm going to go through this sheet first, and then we will actually create one together so that you can see the process. But I'm going to point out everything on this sheet first. But if you want to skip to making some vanilla bath bombs in this pricing calculator, I'll put the chapters below for you. All right, so the first thing you're going to fill out is your product name. So what are you making or what have you made? So in this case, I put black raspberry soap, and I actually have this recipe here on YouTube as well if you want to check out that. But put that there, and then if you do have a SKU, you'll want to put that there. But if you don't have a SKU, that's not going to change the sheet. It's just for your own tracking. And then you will leave that area after you complete those first two things, or just the one thing. All right, and then you'll go down to the ingredients cost. So I have all of my ingredients for this black raspberry soap listed here, and then I also have the unit cost. So how much does it cost per unit that you're using? And that material sheet is going to help you, and then we'll go through that later at the end. I'll have a chapter down there for that as well. But right now I have already figured out my unit cost. I use ounces when I'm making soap. I actually use grams when I'm doing everything else, but ounces for soap. So my olive oil is 19 cents per ounce. And so I put that here, and then I had the drop down, and you can add other things here. I just put a bunch of units, but I'm using ounces and then how much I use in that recipe. So in this black raspberry soap recipe, I used 26.22 ounces of olive oil. And so I put that there, and then we got that automatic calculation of $4.98 for this batch. So that's how much the olive oil in this batch costs. And then when you're done, you'll see the total down here, and then you'll also see the total pop up over here. So 1656, it should equal, yep. And then we'll move over to the packaging cost. So for my soap, I only have a label to go around it, and that label costs 36 cents. And then you'll put how many you use. So for the soap, I made 12 bars of soap. That was 12 labels, so I put 12. And then you'll get that calculation here. You'll also see it down here, and then you'll see it over here, which, like I said, we'll do it together later, and then you'll be able to see it for yourself. And then I also have my labor costs here, because when I first started out, I did not pay myself. Well, for the first couple of years, I didn't pay for myself, but we're not doing that. We're gonna pay ourselves. So you're gonna put the labor cost in there. I have these tasks here. You can change them up. So if you're making soap, you might wanna put cutting, how long it takes for you to cut soap and things like that. But I just have these generic tasks here. And then you'll put how long it takes in minutes. So preparation takes 12 minutes, production is 6 minutes, so on and so forth. You'll see the total down here. That's how long it took you to make this batch. And then what is your hourly rate? So you'll put this in as well. So if you want to get paid 25, then you'll put 25. And then you'll see the cost. But I am going to change that back for now. And then if you have any other costs for that batch of soap, then, or that batch of cosmetic, lotion, whatever it is, then you'll put that down here. And then you'll see all of these things from the other areas. Other cost is $0. And then your batch cost is $30.21. Well, my batch cost is $30.21. And that's for ingredients, packaging, other costs, and labor costs. And then you'll put your number of units produced. And like I said earlier, that was 12 bars of soap. So I put 12 here. And then I got the calculation of $2.52 per unit or bar. So for this recipe, it cost me $2.52 for each bar. And then you'll also see the automatic calculations come up over here. I do have a suggested wholesale and a suggested retail. Now you can change these if you want to. So for wholesale, I just did double the amount of the cost. And then for retail, I just did 3 times the amount of the cost. And then in this box here, you will add your actual retail price. So even though you have suggested retail prices and wholesale prices, you may not actually do that, because I know when I first started making soap, I was like, I'm gonna have to sell soap for $10 a bar to get what I wanna get. It's pretty hard. So put your actual retail price, so the price that you decided on. So $6.50 is what I decided on for this one, even though the suggested was $7.55. And then I have my net profit of $3.98. So if I sell this bar of soap at this price, my profit is going to be $3.98. And that does not count any shipping fees or any other platform fees. And speaking of platform fees, I got a little excited when I was making this calculator. So I actually put an Etsy standard fee calculator in here as well. I was like, why not? Why not do that? So I was being extra, and so now you have an Etsy standard fee calculator for free on here as well. And these are the US fees, because everybody has their own fees. So I just had to decide on US because that's what I use. So here you'll have that automatic price pop up, and you'll see the little notes that I've added. So that's $6.50. That's the price that I said I was going to sell the soap for. And then what was the shipping price? So it took me about $4.50 to ship that soap to Georgia or something like that. So I put $4.50. And then if you know your sales tax, then put your sales tax in there. If not, then you just skip over it. And then you'll get your order amount. And then here's the breakdown of those fees based off of what you put up here. So listing fee is always 20 cents. And then the transaction fee, and then these two are the payment processing fees. There's the flat fee, and then there's the percentage fee. And then there you have your total cost of your Etsy fees. And then down here, you're gonna put the actual cost of the label. So I might have thought that it was gonna be $4.50, but the actual price was like $5.03. So I would put $5.03 in this right here, how much it actually cost to purchase the label. And then your cost per unit, which is this right here, that will automatically be put there. And then down here, you'll get your total product and shipping costs. That'll be automatic calculation. And then you'll see your net profit. So even though over here, my net profit was $3.98, over here, my actual, after I'm selling this bar on Etsy, my actual profit is $2.52 for that bar. Or sorry, $2.49 for that bar of soap. And then you'll see your profit margin here. And then I actually have this sheet as a standalone as well, because I was like, if I'm going to make it, then I could just make a standalone version as well. So if you want to download that, I'll have that link in the description as well for you. Now let's move on to making our own recipe. So I'm going to do some vanilla bath bombs. So the first thing I'm going to do is go over to this recipe 1 sheet, and then I'm going to duplicate it, because I'm going to do one for every one of my recipes. And I'm going to go ahead and name this tab Vanilla Bath Bombs. So I'm filling out my product name. And don't judge me, because I get a little nervous when I'm on camera, so I might just mess up typing, but whatever. So the SKU, let's just say BB Bath Bomb Vanilla. Boom, just made up a SKU. And now we're gonna leave everything else and we're going to come down to the ingredients. So I'm going to go ahead and type in the ingredients, and then we'll go through the unit cost and everything else together. All right, now that I have all of my ingredients in there, I'm going to put in my unit cost and my unit, and of course the amount used. Now when it comes to the unit, I do grams, so I'm going to go ahead and change all of those to grams. So I like to keep my unit of measurement uniform for the whole recipe, but you may not do that, and I don't actually do that for every recipe that I have, like my DIY ones and everything. But you may use like fluid ounces for sunflower oil, so then you would just do fluid ounces, and then you'll need to figure out how much it costs per fluid ounce and how many fluid ounces you would use in that recipe. But I'm going to go back to grams, and then let's start filling out the unit cost. So this is cost per gram, and grams are very small. So with this first one, you'll see I'm putting in 0.0015. That's how much it costs. And I'm going to do the full number. I'm not going to put 0.00. I'm not rounding it up. I'm not rounding it down. That is exactly what it is. Now, when I click off, it will say 0.00. So, well, $0, but it's still there. The information is still there. And then if I put the amount used, so I use 2,430 grams, you'll still see that calculation. All right, so let's keep going. So for citric acid, it is 0.00908 per gram, and I use 1,200 grams. Kaolin clay, 0.00421. And that concludes the ingredients for this. And then I scroll down here, I see that is $16.74 for this batch of ingredients for my vanilla bath bombs. And then let's go over here to the packaging cost. My packaging, I have a label, and it costs 5 cents per label. And then the batch is 27 vanilla bath bombs, so I use 27 labels for this. And then I also use shrink wrap. And that costs 4 cents per little sheet of shrink wrap. And then 27 of those as well. So $2.43, and as you see, those two, the ingredient and the packaging costs have already popped up here. And then the labor cost is $0 right now because I haven't done that yet. But let's go ahead and put the time that it takes me to make these 27 vanilla bath bombs. So preparation is 5 minutes. Production is 26 minutes. Packaging, 18. Cleanup and maintenance is 2. And then we'll just keep with the $20 hour rate. And if you have somebody else doing one of these tasks, then you'll put what their hourly rate is. So I may have somebody else packaging and they get paid $16 an hour, and I clean up. So it'll be $15.80 for the labor cost. And you'll see that come up here, $15.80. So the cost of this batch is $34.97. I don't have any other costs for this. And then, like I said earlier, 27 bath bombs were made. And so that is $1.30 per bath bomb. That's how much it costs. And then you see that $1.30 pop up over here. And then now you have your suggested wholesale price and your suggested retail price. And then I'm actually just going to put that I sell them for $4. And then you'll see that net profit is $2.70. And then let's go ahead and do the Etsy calculator for this. So now that I figured out everything else, my item price has popped up already because I just put that $4 in. And then my shipping price, let's just say $4.50 again. I'm not going to put sales tax because I'm not sure right now because I actually don't sell vanilla bath bombs. But you'll see your total cost here, $1.26 for this, for one bath bomb. And then let's say the label cost, let's just go with what I said earlier, $5.03. And so your total cost is $6.33. After selling on Etsy, your profit is 92 cents as opposed to the $2.70 that are just your basic costs without any fees or shipping or anything. All right. And that is everything for this. My profit margin is $10 or 10%, almost 11. And before I go, I want to show you this materials list because this is the easiest way to figure out this unit cost here. So the materials list, this is another thing I got a little excited and I was like, well, why not add that on there? Because I don't have that on my actual sheet, but I said, let me go ahead and put it here because I have it housed somewhere else. So for this example, we're going to do Epsom salt because I use a lot of Epsom salt in my business. And then we'll do the price. So let me go down here and get it. So I get my Epsom salt from Sam's Club. It is $9.98 for 14 pounds because it's 7 pounds, but it's a pack of 2. So it's 14 pounds. You'll see on a lot of websites, it'll be broken down. It'll be 71 cents per ounce, or you'll see like 5 cents per, 71 cents per pound, or like 5 cents per ounce, something like that. But let's just go ahead and put $9.98. $9.98. And when it comes to Epsom salt, for the most part, I calculate it in grams. So even though the website has pounds, I don't measure anything in pounds. It's only ounces and grams. And I'm gonna go ahead and do this in grams, which is gonna be a lot, but I'm gonna do it in grams. So I've just opened up Google and I'm gonna do grams to pounds, or really pounds to grams, but 14 pounds is this many grams. So I'll just copy this and put it over here. And then that is the price per unit. So that is 1 gram of Epsom salt. Now you can go ahead and hit this up here if you want to see that full number all the way out. But I feel like I don't need that much. And if you do this, then you're not going to see anything. But I think 4 or 5 is good. And then if they have a SKU, you can put the SKU here. So they do. And then my supplier is Sam's Club. And then if you want to have your link, then go ahead and do that. And that's just so it's easier for you to go check the price or go reorder or anything like that. So that's the materials list. I would put both my ingredients and my packaging in this just so that I could figure out how much it costs per unit, because as we see on the sheet, it will ask. So cost per unit, cost per unit. And it is just much easier to have it all in one spreadsheet. All right, y'all, that is it for this tutorial. If you like calculators though, make sure you check out my batch calculator and my percent calculator. They will be coming out next month. So once they do come out, I'll put the link in the description for you. But in the meantime, you can just join my mailing list and I'll have that link down there for you so that you can be notified when I release those calculators. All right, y'all, thank you so much for tuning in. Bye.